Okay, so here's the deal. Harman Technology sent me 5 rolls of their brand new film to test. And no, it's not black and white. It's their first ever color film made in-house. It's a big deal. So my thought is, why not test the hell out of this film and see what it can do? That means each one of these films will be shot and or developed differently. So at the end of this video, you will know what this film is and is not capable of. So let's go on a trip.
Now, I must say that these few months have been hard. Much like the Order of the Phoenix had to keep its headquarters secret, I too had to keep this film a secret for months. Yeah, that's hard for me to do. Okay, let me start out by saying that there are 2 things at play here. One, Harman, aka Ilford, yeah, it's kind of tricky, from scratch made a brand new color film out of thin air. That ain't easy. And 2, Harman, known for making only black and white films, ain't just stopping with some Phoenix. But we will get into that a little bit later. Now, before we really dive in, let me lay the groundwork, because you can't play Quidditch before you know the rules. Hillary, our homie at Harman, gave us a little heads up on what to expect from this new colored film. Strong grain, high contrast, and some savory halation goodness. Harman's own documentation does say that this film has quirky characteristics. And just like Luna Lovegood, I'm here for quirky. And since I was going to test these rolls side by side, I knew I had to have a camera system and a meter that I could trust. So I grabbed my Nikon FA and my Nikon F3, along with 2 identical lenses that I borrowed from my mate Dobby. I knew I needed the same lens for all these rolls to keep at least one thing constant. I also brought my Ricoh R1S. This would give me a little chance to see how the film would do in a point and shoot that went solely on the DX code. So I'm going to do one at box speed, and I'm gonna shoot the other pulled a stop. We're at 12 o'clock basically, so nice harsh light coming down on us. I'm feeling that pulling it will be better, so we're gonna try that. Oof, that's a bit dark. Okay, let me see if I can scan these myself. Okay, let's continue. The first thing I noticed with this film is that the shadows turned darker faster than Malfoy became a Death Eater. This is very apparent on the shots looking outside from inside this abandoned homestead. But as you can see with this tractor chair, pulling one stop really helps recover the shadow details quite nice. Oh, there we go, However, sometimes pulling film doesn't give you the nicest highlights. Now, they aren't a dumpster fire or as bad as Creature the House Elf, but because you're leaving the film in the developer longer than usual, this can affect your highlights. And it's kind of evident in this tractor photo. I actually quite prefer the highlights in the box speed shot more than the pulled image. Both of these shots do have their merit, but this is one of those rare moments I feel like box speed is just a little bit better. And if you need a refresher course on pulling film, check out my video I did about 3 years ago. That should help.
It actually turns. Oh, does it?
Turns me on.
Oh.
What? But look at this photo. This upside down car, this is Krispy Kreme donuts right here. Check out how clean this pulled image is over the box speed. The shadows in the box speed are just so grainy. I love me some grain, but this pulled image is a good mixture of both worlds.
Well, that was a good location. That was a good first location.
Sometimes
I didn't think it was gonna be good.
you never know.
On to the next location. So, I'm gonna load this up and see how Phoenix does. And this, ooh, look at this packaging. Phoenix, by the way, look at this. It's Phoenixy fresh. That's a bad joke, I get it. But you're not here for good jokes. You're here for ridiculousness. And Jason.
Next up down that road of life was an abandoned mental asylum, or something like that. I honestly can't remember what Jason said. This place was dope though. A bunch of buildings all torn up, what a treat. And funny enough, the weather was also changing. Quite like how a Death Eater calls upon its deadly sign, the clouds were just coming in, giving us a bit of overcast light. So it's a happy accident. We can actually see what this film will do with lighting that is a bit more diffused and not as harsh. This stairway shot is actually a good time to look at the same image in 3 different ways. We have box speed, and we have the pulled image, and then we have box speed in my Ricoh, which looks really good.
There's definitely a difference between the stair quality.
Okay, so this is a good time to compare what a non-color corrected pulled image looks like against a box speed image when scanning on a mirrorless setup. And it really comes down to the color of the negative in the first place. Unlike most color negative films which have an orange base, this Phoenix negative has a pinkish purple undertone. But if you end up pulling either a stop or two, the negative becomes a little bit less saturated and has a little bit less of a color cast overall. It's not completely gone, it's still there, but it's less. When inverted, it gives you an overall pinkish hue. But fear not, you can always make that bad boy look like anything you want. So with a little bit of color correction, you can get a prefect image. I mean perfect, but I guess prefect works too.
Dude, you always drop your sunglasses in the worst places.
Put your 2 Nikons around your neck. You'll look like that guy from Apocalypse Now. Remember the photographer? He had like 6 Nikons around his neck.
I wish I had words.
Trev would be so proud. 2 Nikons around my neck at the same time.
Yeah, I really wanted to go in so bad. But I also didn't want to come across a dead rat, or worse, step in human poo-poo.
-1 bucks.
But before we go much further, we need to fuel our beautiful temples by force feeding our bodies with mountains of meat. This place was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'd say this is good. Good place. Good food. Oh my god, so good.
Now that I've tried my hand at box speed and pulling some film, it's time to slap in some Phoenix and rate it at ISO 100 instead of the 200 it says on the box. And after the major passage through the mountains, we arrived at our next location for the evening. The sun was starting to get into that golden look, and we were dying to explore more goodness at this hour.
Yeah. Oh, caught it.
So, not sure if you've noticed yet, but damn, look at this halation. Yummy. This halation is stronger than Professor Umbridge's will to crack Hogwarts kids. Wow, this image of the barn is quite solid. I think it actually might be my favorite from the bunch so far. Overexposing this roll was definitely the right move for sure. A lot of images here at this barn have a really nice light texture to them. I'm so happy on how a lot of these images turned out from this location. I mean, look at this one cane brake sign. This could almost be mistaken for some sort of flavor of Portra. Overall, I'm not quite sure if it was just the light being just so damn good, but these shots are awesome. And that's not just me inflating my own ego. I truly like these shots. But yeah, I guess Magic Hour makes everything better.
You want some portrait chapstick?
Only overexposed. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, so that happened. Well, now you know what the film looks like if you are an idiot and open it up the back without rewinding. After those last few flashed frames, I ran back to the car and loaded up my FA. I wanted to check out the inside of that gas station, and I needed my flash bulb for that. That's the nice thing about the FA over the F3. You don't need an attachment to use flash.
Okay, I'm praying this is in focus.
So far, I have to say, I'm really digging this film. I'm here for the grain, and the latitude and the highlights is also quite nice, and I can't complain there. After we were both spent, we hopped into the old broom and grabbed some provisions and checked into our motel for the evening.
Fucking idiot. Now I'm gonna drink some booze. Oh yeah. I'm still pissed.
You know what'll solve that?
Then we spent the rest of the evening just taking photos of each other's beds and drinking whiskey. Then I eventually tucked Jason in and we went nighty-night. That next day we would have so many dope spots to hit. We were going to be more overwhelmed than when everyone found out that he who shall not be named had returned. But overwhelmed in a good way because we liked taking photos.
Well, we're flat.
Yeah, that kind of ruins our plans for the day. Since fixing my broken Nimbus 2008 took way longer than expected, we ended up just heading back towards LA. But we couldn't let that day's evil win. So we hit up one last location before finally smelling that LA fog. Also, you don't want me to get into today's barbecue woes. That was even worse than having to buy a brand new tire. Here at this middle school, I ended up doing one of the most unthinkable things anyone could ever do to colored film. Pulling Phoenix 2 stops. Yeah, 2. As in dose. As in more than one. Pulling color film isn't really a thing. But you know, I had to do it. Or science. I needed to see what we could do to this film and what it could withstand. So far, I'm surprised that this film holds up, pulling at 2 stops. The shadow details and the highlights are still quite nice. Sure, the shadows are a little grain city, but that ain't a bad thing. I also noticed that pulling film these 2 stops does kind of make it feel like it's a bit expired. The image seems to have a little bit less saturation than shooting box speed, or overexposing it just a little bit.
So yeah, that place was cool inside, but that was a very much of a no because there were bees. Bees everywhere.
So after expelling some Dementors and making some potions, we finally were done here at our little Hogwarts School of Photography.
I'm a crazy man doing crazy things out here. So, -2.
At first glance, Phoenix is a hard potion to swallow. The contrast is a bit crazy, the saturation is a little overwhelming, and the grain is just shoved down our little esophaguses. But there's a couple things bigger than just the images here. I know I keep saying it, but this is the first color film from Harman made completely in-house. That's not easy. And that needs to be celebrated. I think of it like this. Supporting this film is supporting film's future. There's a new player in the color space, and that's amazing. And as you can see with this video, this film has a ton going for it. This is a modern film for a modern day. So having some control over your scans will drastically help this film shine. By the means of scanning this film at home, you'll be able to get more dynamic range from it and push the color wherever you want it. And either rating this film at ISO 100 or even pulling at a stop in development will help you get some crispy, clean images. I keep going back to that car image from the first roll. That image is hot with a capital Cedric Diggory. I have to say, a lot of the images that I took with this Phoenix was just phenomenal. I think if we support this project, the homies at Harman won't stop at just Phoenix. They have more plans to expand and maybe even one day take over the world. We're talking possible plans for 120, fixing the contrast levels, and even getting this film to be a professional grade film one day. I'm pumped for the future of Harman's color film. I've been told that they have plans. I'm not sure what those plans are, but having plans is a good thing. It's better to thrive than just survive. So for me, this is nothing but great news, and I'm excited to hear what you all think, so let me know below. Okay, so now what are you doing here? Go out and shoot some film.